Hey everyone, it's Failed Shot back in another video, and today we're going to be going over Opal and everything you need to know about her and the gear she uses, where she's going to be used in order for you to decide whether or not you want to summon on this rate up. We don't know everything, but I have done some very extensive testing in all the game modes in the game, so let's jump into it. So first we're going to dive into the stats, the abilities, and the gear I'd recommend on her before we go into all the game modes and start rating her. So first off, we have a very solid base attack and base crit rate. These things are very important because we are going to be dealing a bunch of damage with her joint attack. So we do need a ton of damage on her. Now, we have very solid base tank stats with HP and defense at a B, and a very solid base speed. Now, overall, she's going to be on the squishier side of things, of course, but she does have very, very good damage stats in order to make up for the fact that she is going to take a lot of damage. Now, this character is very, very unique, and it really all comes down to her ultimate here. This ability is kind of where and why she's fitting into all these different interesting types of comps. So what this does is it deals 200% damage to an enemy, very basic, and it grants joint attack for 1 turn. So what this does is it gives joint attack to herself, and then anytime an ally uses an attack on an enemy, she's going to join attack with her basic, and her basic does a bunch of bonus things based on how many times she's using it or hitting against the same enemies. Now, this joint attack can be extended if she's killing enemies. So if she's killing enemies in campaign, if she's killing enemies in Ash, or if she's killing enemies anywhere, she's going to extend this for multiple turns, which could basically turn out to be she's doing 4 attacks per round, every single round, because her joint attack keeps getting extended. It's very, very impressive. Now, because she's joint attacking, we need to know what her basic does. So what does her basic do? Well, it's going to do 100% damage, grant 1 rage, and remove a negative effect on herself. All very, very good things. But as she's getting this rage, she's going to increase the damage on her basic to 130%, and then 160%, and then 200%. And once you reach this 200%, she's going to remove all rage and go back to the beginning. However, her passive here basically means that as she's hitting the same target over and over and over again, she's going to get a significant amount of rage. Eventually, she can literally jump from her basic ability all the way to her max basic ability against 1 attack if you're hitting the same target, especially against like guild boss, for example. She's going to be jumping to that max strength basic attack immediately, and it's going to be very, very strong. Now, her ascension trait is actually at ascension 5, and it's grants speed up 2 for 1 turn when she's under 50% HP. I actually don't know of any use of this trait realistically. You do want her to go first, but you don't want her to go so quick that she actually, maybe she applies joint attack right at the beginning of the round, and then she has speed up 2, and then maybe it messes up a speed tuning. It's very hard to describe when you'd actually want this speed up 2, except for maybe an arena. It's very, very confusing as to why this is in her kit. I'd actually recommend a lot of people, including myself, I'm not going to go for Ascension 5 because it would actually mess up my speed tuning on some of my comps, so I do not want to do that. And then we have her passive, which I think is, honestly, probably a little bit overrated from when I rated her initially. I didn't really see what her ultimate does, and so that's where her power is. Her power isn't really in her passive. I haven't really found a solid use out of this. I thought she might be useful in Gemini to avoid some of the big hits and just kind of survive, but I really haven't found a big use out of this passive yet. But it is very interesting and probably very good for future arena content and for PvP in general. Now, what sets do I recommend and how am I going to be building her? Well, first off, we want to stack a bunch of attack. We want to stack a bunch of crit damage. We want to get max crit rate. So all of that's very, very important. Now, what's also very important is that you either, depending on how your team rolls, you're going to want to go first or last in the team comp. You don't want to go in the middle generally. So you want to go first if you want to get all those joint attacks out. You want to apply the joint attack before anyone else goes. This is very important for campaign, for dungeons, for endless trials, because this basically allows her to put joint attack up. You kill an enemy, it extends. So she has permanent joint attack throughout the whole battle. Very, very important. Otherwise, you could put her last and just say, you know, okay, we're not going to kill an enemy, so we're going to put joint attack at the end, and then we're going to have damage to kill an enemy. Things like that, you could manipulate with that, but you don't really want her going first. It doesn't really make sense. Or in the middle, it doesn't really make sense, unless there's some specific speed tune that you want her for. So definitely going first. And then we're going to want to focus on a few specific sets. I think number one is going to be Assassin set. Now, the reason why Assassin set is so good, if we just go into the gear set here and find an Assassin piece real quick, let's just see here. Okay, perfect. And I'll move myself to the side here. You can see that attacks have a 50% chance of dealing 50% damage to the main target. So really what this is doing is essentially giving every single one of our joint attacks the possibility of actually dealing 50% increased damage. Now, another really good set would be Cursed, but I think Cursed is significantly worse than Assassin set because all this does is have a 35% chance to launch a bonus attack, but it has to be on her turn. So you're not really getting anything out of the joint attacks from the Curse set. So I'd actually prefer definitely going Assassin. I think Rebel set could be interesting on her for PvP. And I also think that just flat out triple warrior set or just getting stat sets on her could be very good for PvE content where you need consistent damage. So that's all we need to know about abilities and gear and all that stuff. So let's go on and jump into campaign, test out her abilities, and see how she fares in campaign. So we're jumping into campaign here, and we're going to see how she fares. I figured we try it out on 10-8 Mythic just to kind of showcase how interesting her joint attack is. We're obviously going to be much slower than them, so this may not work out at all, but I really just wanted to showcase her abilities. So she's going first here, and she's going to go ahead and use her ultimate. Now, this ultimate will apply that stack of joint attacks. So we're just going to go ahead and use it. Use it on blue here. It doesn't really matter. Really, we want to find this right here, this joint attack. So you can see here, it's got a little 1 next to it. It's going to extend if we kill someone. So we're going to go ahead and use Nathalia's ultimate here. And just kill off the side adds. And you'll see the joint attack actually extend. And then you'll also see that Opal actually joint attacked with Nathalia onto the main target of Nathalia's ultimate. So now you can see here that her basic attack is going to have an extra animation here because of the fact that she's stacking that rage. We'll go ahead and ult again, and you'll see that she's going to joint attack again, but this time with her maximum stack basic attack. You can see here, it's a little mini ultimate animation because of that stacked basic attack. Very good there. And so you can see here, this is basically the idea of Opal. You're just trying to hit with the joint attack and then hit as many possible times on enemies that you can get with your allies, which is why you want her to go first, so she can stack that joint attack here. And we could just see the power of Opal here with the joint attacks. I figured we could try it against someone who has that passive where he's going to have that death immunity. And you can see here we're proccing it much early, and then we could do some damage to it, dealing obviously all those joint attacks. We're getting extra procs, and then we're gonna go ahead and hit again, and we're gonna get an extra bonus attack with Opal, and we're actually gonna beat 10-8 Mythic here with Opal because of all the joint attacks that she was doing. I actually didn't expect to do that, but very interesting in the fact that she's going to be joint attacking all the time. That being said, I don't think she's an absolute 10 for campaign. I think she's more of a 9 for campaign. And that's because she's not quite as fast as the other 3 characters I have in here. She does do quite a bit of damage and she can carry you, but she's not like end game 100% the best option. So she's going to be at a 9 here. And these are all based on my tier list in the Google spreadsheets that I have in the description down below if you want to check it out. But let's go ahead and jump into Arena here. So here we are in Arena, and I have her rated as a 9 for Arena offense and an 8 for Arena defense. So I think for Arena defense, you're going to want to run a Rebel set, and it's more of kind of abusing the 51% damage maximum that she can take of her HP. And for offense, I think I like to use her really as a specific Arena counter. There isn't anyone here that I would really love to use Opal against. But that being said, we'll go ahead and run Opal here. Where is Opal? And just showcase her in Arena. Now, the way I like to use her is I like to pair her with Urzag and my Bruiser comp, and then her specifically targeting Gorels and countering them. She can do a lot of damage and basically get him out in turn 1 because she can ult and then joint attack off of Yolanda or Aphasia, and then also off of Urzag, and she's very, very good in that way. But other than that, I really don't find too big of a use for her. I don't even know if we're going to win this. Against tank comps, I'm not really specifically built for them, but we're going to try here, and we're going to focus down Brand. We actually did quite a bit of damage there with Opal, and that's kind of what you're using her for, is just that single target, just big damage. I probably should have targeted somewhere else, actually, with the Opal basic attack. You can see here, it wasn't really an Opal showcase. We just kind of straight up beat them with sheer damage. We can go ahead and try another comp, but generally what you're going to want to do is target specific characters that you're going to want to focus fire down with Opal, and she does very, very good at that, especially if you gear her well and you have that assassin set. You're going to be doing a lot of damage. So that is very, very nice. Now, let's go ahead and see. We have this one. This one's more of a damage comp. I don't know if we're going to be faster. If we are faster, we're going to win. If we're slower, we're going to lose, most likely. So we'll see here. I just don't think that she is overall the best in Arena. I think she's very, very niche. Looks like we ended up getting stunned from Winstrex. We can go ahead and stun Tia here and just hope for the best, right? I think we're going to lose here, but this is kind of the situation. She's not really a catch-all Arena character, but we will be able to see her passive here. You can see here, she only took 51% of her HP on that initial hit. She's going to go ahead and die off now, but that's really the idea of using Opal, is trying to abuse that 51% HP passive or focus firing certain people down in Arena, specifically the Brands and specifically the Gorels. I think she's very, very good against, and they are proliferate in Arena. Oftentimes, they're one of the hardest teams for me to beat, specifically the Gorels, so definitely someone that you're going to want to bring in to target and counter them. So let's go ahead and jump into Void Tower and see how she fares over there. So we're in Void Tower, and I have Opal rated as a 9 here. And the reason why I have it rated as a 9 is because I don't think she's going to be the best available option generally through Void Tower. I think the best available option is that tank comp plus Cyrus. It's going to be the easiest to gear overall. Easier to gear than the nuke comps in regards to actual stat layouts. You need less rolls in your gear to gear that comp out than you do a damage dealing comp. Now, that being said, I think that Opal can be used in the tank comp, actually, specifically for hitting a lot of the fire stages or heavy water stages, where you can actually use the tank comp to use her with the joint attacks and actually have really good effects on her. But I don't think she's going to be as good as those Cyruses, the Antinuas, and things like that, or Nathalias even in the Void Tower. But I think she'll be very, very good. So let's jump into Endless Trials here. So in Endless Trials, I have it rated as a 10, and mainly that's just because of all the bonus turns you're getting, all the joint attacks you're getting, all the different artifacts you're getting. Now, Endless Trials is definitely a earlier to mid-game game mode that you have to kind of worry about. When you get to endgame, it's kind of trivial, but I think Opal will do very, very well for you if you're early on in the game in helping you carry, because she works so well with a lot of the joint attack artifacts, the bonus turns, and all those good things with the single target duplication of attacks. So very, very good in Endless Trials. Let's check her out in Guild Boss here. So for the Guild Boss, I have her as a 10 for the fire, an 8 for the water, and a 4 for the wood. So the reason why she has a 4 for the wood is she's going to die and she doesn't do much damage because she gets deflected, all that good stuff. Don't use her in the wood one. The water one, she has a decent damage output. I'm actually going to show a clip up on screen here while I talk about the fire Guild Boss, because the reason why damage dealers you generally want on affinity damage dealers, or rather the positive affinity, because you're getting that 50% extra damage. And for the fire one specifically, you're going to be chaining with a lot of the joint attacks / bonus attacks / bonus turns. Really, you're going to get bonus turns into joint attacks from her, and that's really what's going to scale up your damage. That clip was with Jacob. He was getting a bunch of bonus turns. She goes off and she takes a bunch of turns. That being said, she's still not as good as some of the other characters out there. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the other day, literally yesterday, I posted this video on this comp here with Urzag. It's unfortunate because Urzag is literally outshining every other damage dealer. But that being said, she is comparable to Gorel for this Guild Boss, and a very, very good one if you want to use her for the Fire or Water Guild Boss. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the dungeons now. So here we are in the Arcane Dominator, and I have her as a 3 for Tulpa. I have her as a 10 for Ashe, and an 8 for Queen. I'm adding a couple of new factors here in Witch and Gemini. However, it's a 7 for the Witch and a 8 for the Gemini. It's kind of hard to make Gemini rankings, honestly, and the reason for this is Gemini is only completable by Gangello overall past stage 12. That being said, I think she's very, very good and can be used in a Zitlin comp potentially if I have the right units. So I do want to try that. And with her passive, I think that obviously it's impossible to rate accurately for Gemini generally because the fact that it's only completable again, Gello, I don't know how to say that. But I think that she's very, very good with that passive, with the damage output. For Witch, she actually cleanses off all the debuffs that the Witch is putting on. It's just hard to do Witch past 12 without a specific comp, but she can fit into Witch 12. And then for Queen, she can fit in as a damage dealer. She's not one of the best, that's why I have her rated a little bit lower, but she can definitely work. She's just not as fast. For Ashe, she absolutely dominates Hell Stage 2 if you do not have a Gangello or a brand with insane stats. This comp is something I showcased the other day. I'll go ahead and leave a card and the thumbnail in the top right corner. If you want to check that video out, I highly recommend you do so and look at Opal's potential in Ashe Hell Stage 2 because this is a very, very quick comp at 2 minutes average. So if you do not have a Gangello or if you do not have insane stats for Andy's brand Mary comp, this is probably the fastest out there outside of those two. So definitely very, very good and something I've been using recently as my go-to Ashe Hell Stage 2. And then Tulpa, just don't use her. She's a water unit. She's going to die instantly in Tulpa and she's not going to do a lot of damage. So that's it for the dungeons. Then we're going to jump into the ability crystal dungeons, and I have her as a absolute 10 for the Bane Wraith, an absolute 10 for the Lizard, and 9 for the Wrathful Flood, and then 8 for the Light, and an 8 for the Captive. Sorry, a 9 for the Captive here. And the reason for this is Bane Wraith, obviously, we're going to be joint attacking. We're going to remove the block insanely quickly, so we have no worries about that. And then for the Flame Lizard, we're going to be joint attacking, again, removing all the buffs that he's getting with the crits from the Lizard, so never going to have a problem with dying. Flood, she's just going to do a lot of damage, and then Light, she just does damage, one of the best damage dealers, so she has an 8. And then she has a little bit of bonus for the Captive because she can cleanse herself, so it's very, very solid for the Captive, although most of these dungeons don't matter too much. Let's go ahead and jump into the overall thoughts and what I think about this character and whether or not you should pull her before the rate up ends. It's actually one last thing before we jump into the overall ratings, and that is going to be the potion value and the 6-star value you're getting out of this character. So for first off, the potion value is at a 3. I think that her Ascension 5 trait is very, very niche. I think that the only potion you should put into her is the first potion for the base attack. That I do recommend, but not for her trait. I think that her trait is pretty poor in regards to the grand scheme of things. And then I think her 6-star value is an absolute 10. You absolutely want to 6-star her if you're going to be using her. Again, damage dealers just do have that innate 6-star value to do more damage, and she's an excellent damage dealer. Then we have the overall thoughts on this character. Do I think you should pull her? Because the rate up banner should be ending in about 24 hours as this video goes live. And I think that for the majority of the players out there, do not pull for this character. Even though it's a low chance still, I think that most people should not pull for it if you've been saving your summons for the ends of this event. I think that this character is very, very niche in Ashe because if you do have Gangello, she's kind of obsolete in my opinion. And outside of that, she has some unique uses in some of the other game modes. So that is one bonus to her. But I think there's a lot of other more important characters for account progression for her. Things like Brand, things like Valyria, things like Ciara, Gangello, Blackhorn, Mythasia, Brand. All of these characters, I think, are more important to your account than Opal here. And so I think that you should try to at least give the best chance for those characters to summon. Overall, she's not bad. She's definitely an above average legendary, but just not good enough, in my opinion, to try to summon her over a lot of the other really, really essential legendaries. Especially those Gangellos and Brands. Those are really, really important, especially if you want to break into Ashe 14 and Gemini or dungeons in general with Gangello. So that's pretty much my overall thoughts. I think she's amazing. She's my favorite aesthetic looking character. Very, very cool. Happy I pulled her. I'm using her all the time. But hopefully this gives you an idea on what you to do with Opal and how she rates and how she's good, what to gear her with. Hopefully this gives you an informed decision. But that'll be it for this video. Let me know if you enjoyed and you want to see more of these in-depth guides by commenting down below. Leave a like on the video. I'll see you in the next one.